we're going to be dealing with special parallelograms. Those are rectangles or rhombus, okay? So let's start with number 25. We're going to deal with the rectangle here. Solve for the indicated measurement. The following is a rectangle. Like I said, special parallelograms are either rectangle or a rhombus. Now, one cool thing about rectangles is that my diagonals, these two diagonals, have the same length. Huh, okay. In rectangles, not just any rhombus, just rectangles. So my diagonals are equal to each other, and they cut each other in half. Interesting. They cut each other in half, and they have the same length. Okay, so I could find for any angle. Here, I'm looking for measurement of angle 3. That's this angle. I can solve for angle 2 because I'm given 116 degrees. You guys see that here? I see this line, and I remember linear pair, right? Two angles that are the angle of a line. I know the angle of a line is 180. One of my angles 116. So how big is the other angle? Do you know? Let's say I call this angle 2. I call it 64 degrees. Do you know where that 64 degrees come from? Well, those two angles have to add up to 180, right? So I just went 180 minus 116, and I got 64. Okay, but I'm not looking for angle 2. I'm looking for angle 3, Mr. Leon. So, okay. One thing I want you to focus on. Let me do blue here. Remember how I said the diagonals are the same length and they cut each other in half? So can I say this segment in blue and this other segment in blue? Let me do better. Can I say those are the same length? Yes, I can. Okay. And let me do a third side here because I want to create a triangle. Let me mark these two sides because I said they were equal. Doesn't that mean the opposite angles are equal as well? Remember we dealt with isosceles triangle before? So I know angle 3 and angle 4 are equal to each other. Mr. Leon, so I don't know how big is angle 4. It's all right. We don't know, right? So we learn back in algebra that when we don't know the value of something in math, we usually replace it with the letter. Let me call each of these angles x. I'm going to use the same letter because they are the same length, right? Those two angles are equal. So I'm going to use the same letter. I remember that for a triangle, I can add my three angles. So I'm going to go 64 plus x. And I know in a triangle, when I add the three angles, all of them equal to 180. Okay, so let me separate into the equal sign. When it comes to letters, I have 1x plus 1x. That gives me 2x. If you thought of x squared, that's multiplied. X times x is x squared. Now, x plus x is 2x. So I have 2x plus 64 is all of this is equal to 180. Okay, this plus 64. Let me move it over as a minus 64. So I have that 2x is equal to, now 180 minus 64 is 116. Let me divide both sides by 2. So I get that 1x is equal to 116 divided by 2 is 58. Now let's take a look at a rhombus. So for the indicated measurement, the following is a rhombus. Now here, the diagonals cut each other in half. That still works. But on the rhombus, this diagonal, let me do it in yellow, this diagonal can be different length of this diagonal. Okay, on a rhombus. On a rectangle, they are equal, but on a rhombus, they're not necessarily equal. They do cut each other in half, but another cool thing that happens with the diagonals in a rhombus, not a rectangle, but in a rhombus, is that they meet at a 90-degree corner. So any corner inside or here in the center is 90 degrees. So in a rhombus, my diagonals meet at a 90-degree corner, not necessarily on a rectangle. Okay, so here I'm solving for the measurement of angle 11. Oh, cool. I think I have what I need because I'm looking at a triangle. Let me show you which triangle I'm looking at. I know two angles, right? 36 is one angle, 90 degrees is another angle. So I can solve for angle 11 because for right now, let me call it X. I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to go 90 plus 36 plus X equals 180. Remember the three angles of a triangle always add up to 180. Okay. When it comes to letters on the left side, I just have 1x. 90 plus 36 is 126. Just combining my like terms. This plus 126, let me move it over as a minus 126. So I get x equals, but I know that 180 minus 126 is 54. So x is 54. Couple more things I'm gonna give you guys that might help you for other questions. On a rectangle, we solve for angle 4, right? Angle 3. Angle 3 and angle 4 were the same thing, 58 degrees each. Now, angle 1. One cool thing on a rectangle. Let me do it in yellow. Let me highlight in yellow. These two angles add up to 90, right? It's a rectangle. So if I know angle 4, I can solve for angle 1. Another thing I could have said, this angle right here is 1/16, and this angle right here is 64. Remember when there's a vertical angle theorem, but when there's an X, opposite angles are equal to each other. And then from there, you can continue, right? You can solve for other angles. But again, the corners, let me do, let's see which color can we do? Green. These four corners are 90 degrees on a rectangle. Now, on a rhombus, they're not necessarily 90. One cool thing that happens at the corners, so not just the center, at the corners are get cut in half. So, for example, I see this 36-degree angle here. I'm gonna say this other angle right here is also 36 degrees. On a rhombus, they get cut in half. Not necessarily a rectangle, but on a rhombus, they do. So that should help you for your homework.